overwhelming request that I speak tonight, I guess I can't resist. Well, the most remarkable thing about this day is I lived to 75. You know, coming from a family who one of their favorite pastimes is to die at 52. I feel fortunate, if that's the proper term, to be here and continue the suffering that we were all required to do on this plane. I think I'm probably the oldest man in the world. I was born in rural Virginia at a time and place where, let's say it was the 19th century, without electricity, without plumbing, with very primitive conditions. And now I've lived into the 21st century, to the age of where Dick Tracy's two-way wrist radio is obsolete already. So I think I must be at least 200 years old. And I mean, we've also grown into the age that we can talk about 4-hour erections on television, which I never thought. I was astounded that they would recommend that if you've had an erection for 4 hours, that you should go to the doctor. What does it have? I mean, but how? Who do you go to when you've had one for 60 years? But the greatest part of my life is my friends and family, which is very little difference between the two. I've lived apart from my family for most of my life, and I tried to keep at least 400 miles between me and my nearest relative, and that keeps a good relationship, with the exception of my dear daughter, who's hounds me constantly, but that's all right. But the greatest things in my life have been, aside from my personal relationships, there was the No Smoking Playhouse and John Brown. When I started the No Smoking Playhouse, I had no sense of an artistic policy. I still don't. All I wanted to do was work with my friends and do good work and have a group of people that love each other, and respect each other, and make a contribution. And I think the fact that here, I mean, there's No Smoking Playhouse is 25 years since it's closed, and here we all are again. And still in love with each other, still working with each other, and still enjoying each other. And so that thought of having this kind of a group of people who would endure is one of the great accomplishments, if you can call it that, of my life. And of course, coming late in life, I was in my late 50s when I really became involved in John Brown, and John Brown is a true soulmate. I mean, I wish I were his equal, but I do not claim that. I claim only to love him and respect him and try to emulate his good example. With John Brown is the great paragon of activism. He's a man whose motives were clear and pure. He was brave beyond all knowing. He never took a backward step, and he never told a lie. And I'm here, my dear friend Lynn Stewart, who is made in that mold, and I'm very, very proud to call her my friend, because she is the John Brown of our era, not me. And I also want to, I know that in the John Brown community, which is pretty vast, that I know I'm kind of a superstar in gatherings of 50 or less in some places. and I get a great deal of credit for elucidating John Brown, but I also want to, and it's quite often forgotten, that George Riley is the brains behind this, that without George, there would have been no John Brown show. Without his inspiration, his talent, and his rhetoric, editorial geniuses, writing genius, that would be no me taking credit from John Brown. I give all credit to George, and I think George deserves it. Other than that, I guess I'd give you my dirty joke about Cialis, but so in 4 hours, if you're feeling really good, call a doctor.
Thank you all so much for coming. Some of you have come from far and wide, and we really appreciate it. And come up and help yourself to watermelon now.